welcome to the Help Me to Parent Facebook Live, where we answer your questions every single week. My name's Alan O'Donoghue, and it's been a really good response recently. Lots of new listeners and watchers, which is great. Appreciate all the nice feedback, so do keep it coming. It's always gratefully accepted. It makes a big difference when people kind of do actually watch it, because sometimes you kind of forget when you're sitting in front of the screen or talking into a mic that people don't actually hear what you say or listen. So it's always very it kind of takes me a bit by surprise every time I meet somebody, or somebody sends me an email or a message, whatever, and says that they found something useful or found something interesting. So it's always a bit of a shock. So it's a bit of an overcast day here in Drogheda. I've got the old Pearl Jam mug this week that was given to me by a friend. I could do an intravenous drip of a coffee today to keep me going, but I'll fight on through. It's a tough old life. It's great. I'm getting new patrons on the Patreon page every month, which is really, really appreciated. So thank you to everyone who's already donated and pledged to kind of support these podcasts every single month. Some people are pledging $1, some people are pledging $10. It's fantastic. It makes it that bit easier to keep the equipment up to date and stuff. So if you're interested in giving me the price of a cup of coffee once a month, that'd be fantastic. If you go to the patreon.com/the Al O'Donoghue podcast, I think that's it. If you go on there, you can support these podcasts every single month. A little bit of a secret. I'm going to be re-releasing all my CA coaching motivational interview podcasts. So we had 2 series of that, and that will lead us into a brand new series. So I'm really looking forward to getting those up and running. So look out for that in the next probably 4 to 5 weeks. We'll start getting those back out, where we interview people about things that they're motivated. So we have some sports people, we have some business people, we have people who volunteer their time, people who've built houses out of mud and stuff like that. So it's really, really interesting, and I'm really excited to get the new series out there as well. So I'll be starting to record those very soon. If you can help support those podcasts, that'd be great. Just the Patreon page, patreon.com/the Al O'Donoghue podcast. But we're here today to answer your parenting questions. So we've got 3 questions today. 2 nice, tough ones, and a kid's question today. I love getting those kids questions, so please do send in any of those random questions that your kids give you. They're fantastic. But we'll delve straight into the adults' questions first off. Myself and my wife have 2 young children, a 4-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl. They're good kids, and we have a really good relationship. My worry is that my wife won't leave the kids overnight with anyone. We have a good family who love the kids and would really like to have them sleep over, but my wife just refuses. I've tried to book nights away for us and even got her a trip to New York for her birthday, but she says the only way she'll go is if the kids come too. I know this sounds small and petty, but it impacts on our lives as we never get to go to friends' weddings or events where we would have to stay overnight. I don't want to push her, but when I try to bring it up, she just fobs me off. Have you any advice? I suppose I've seen quite a few occasions over the last kind of 7 to 8 years where people are just not comfortable leaving their kids overnight with somebody else. And a lot of time they will say it's because I want to be there if something happens to my child and my child needs me. And that's a completely natural response for any parent. No one wants to get a phone call from someone who's looking after your child overnight, saying that something has happened or something's gone wrong, and maybe you've had a couple of drinks or whatever, so you can't just jump into the car and make your way home. Or if you've travelled outside of the country, it's not that easy to just jump on a flight. So it can be very, very difficult for some people to actually break away from their kids and leave them overnight because of that. What I will say though is it's healthy for children. It's healthy for your children to be able to go and spend some time away from you. It's not that they will stop loving you. It's not that they will be, let run wild or whatever if they're going staying with grandparents. Well, they might be, but generally, the people that you're going to leave your children with overnight are the ones that are going to have your children's best interests at heart. And it's really, really positive because your kids get to experience life away from you. They also get to experience what it's like to have somebody else looking after them and not having to rely on you the whole time. And at some point, this has to change. So absolutely, something may actually happen to your kids if you go away, but something might not happen. And realistically, what can happen is we can catastrophize sometimes. So we think about the worst possible case scenario. So I can't leave the kids because they will end up in hospital and it'll just be an absolute tragedy. But we never think about the best case scenario, or rarely think about the best case scenario in this situation where we're saying, my kids will go away, they will have a fantastic time staying with their friends or their family, and we will have a nice time away, and we'll be able to reconnect and remember that we're not just parents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, yes, you are a parent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but you're also in a relationship, and your relationship is as important as your kids. So it's important for everybody that you guys do get to spend some time together and get that mental break, because the other side of it is, if we're constantly looking after our kids all the time and with them all the time, we never get to switch off. We never get to switch off. We are on the whole time, and that is mentally exhausting. Plus, as our kids get older, we need them to pull away from the family unit. We need them to not want to be with us. We need them to not want to live at home for the rest of their lives. And I know, that sounds logical to a lot of people, but on an emotional level, there's a lot of parents out there who don't want that. They feel that their sole purpose on this planet is to raise their children as best they can. You're going to do that. You're going to raise your kids the best way you can. We all do. Yes, we make mistakes, but we raise our kids the best we can. And giving them the space from you is really important for their development, because they don't have that attachment to you where they feel that they need to have you close by, or they need you to tuck them in a bed every single night, because they're their own human being. And I think a lot of the problems that we see where children are suffering from anxiety, a lot of the time the parents will have anxiety too. And, sometimes that can extend from, not having that break, that separation. I know when I was a kid, it was a long, long time ago, right? But we disappeared at whatever time in the morning, and we didn't come back until we were hungry. And we were okay. And it's all right for your kids to go away from you for a day or two or a week, whatever. It's okay for them to experience that bit of a break, because it lets them know that they're going to be okay whether you're there or not. And as I said, your relationship with your partner is so important as well, that you need to give yourselves the time away to remind yourself that you fell in love at one stage, that you connected at one stage, that you actually liked each other at one stage, and you didn't just look at each other and go, okay, well, our job is to just bring up these children, and when we get that done, we'll see how things are and we'll kind of relax then, or we will go our separate ways. It's important to not lose that connection. So I understand that people worry about their kids, but your kids are going to be okay. Most children are all right. Most kids need that independence. That's how they start to grow. That's how they start to build the resilience that they can manage things themselves. So by giving your kids the gift of an overnight trip, and that's what if you need to sell that to yourself, that's what you do. This is a gift for them to help them build resilience, that they don't need to be stuck to me. And you need it too. Now, what I will say is, if your wife, in relation to this one, if she is extremely, extremely concerned about that separation, if she's essentially getting separation anxiety, maybe it's worth her going to speak to somebody about it, because it's not healthy for anyone. It's not healthy for her, it's not healthy for your kids, it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for your relationship. So it's really important that there is that space where, if she does have something deeper root where she's really, really struggling, maybe she can go and get some help. And that can sometimes be a difficult conversation to have with your partner, because she might turn around and say, I'm absolutely fine, I'm just a normal mother. I know plenty of mothers out there who don't leave their children overnight, and that's okay too. But if it's something more, maybe you do need to have that difficult conversation. Or maybe you can look at, well, look, the kids need this. They need this for their development. They need it for their resilience. They need it for their ability to manage situations without us fixing things all the time. Because, like, people talk about, millennials being snowflakes and kids being snowflakes and not being able to cope with whatever goes on. This is how we start. We let them get knocked down. We let them be away from us and have to rely on somebody else or rely on themselves in order to be able to manage life. Because life is full of knocks. Life does knock us all down. And it's important that we all learn and teach our kids that it's all right to get knocked down. Like, you have the ability to get back up. So maybe show your wife this video, and she might turn around to you and go, well, I'm still not changing my mind. But hopefully what it might do is open up a conversation for you guys to have that discussion around, okay, let's move things forward for our kids. And we have a benefit. We have a benefit too. We get to spend some time together and have some fun. Whether it's, walking on the beach, whether it's, who knows, going for dinner, it doesn't matter. You guys get some time as well. Let me know how that goes. Good morning, Jennifer. It's good to see you. What do you say? It's grey, cloudy, boring day. We don't have sunshine here in Drogheda. It's been pretty dull. I don't take photographs of the non-sun days. But I hope you're well. Hi, Josephine. Nice to see you. You have the opposite. You can't get anyone to mind your kids overnight. Oh my goodness. Tell you what, send them over to me. I'll look after your kids overnight. You guys can go and have some time away. And that's something different. And maybe it is about kind of sitting down and having a conversation with your family members, if you have family members, or good friends, or maybe friends of your kids. Maybe they can go for a sleepover with friends of theirs. Kaz, hi, nice to see you. When you were younger, your class and other classes in school used to go on camping trips away from home at about a week a year, sometimes twice a year when my parents were at home. That was the best part times back in the days. Absolutely. And it's okay. There is a lot of groups and activities that do start to take kids away, which is really important for their development. Jennifer, you should start early to give it a try, step by step, because they will maybe someday have a night over at school. If your child does not want to try it again, that's exactly it. Just because something doesn't work right now doesn't mean it's not going to work in the future. That's an absolutely fantastic point, Jennifer. Thank you. Or some are still not ready and suddenly get scared. Then you should pick up the child so it does not lose trust, because one day it will happen by itself and will not be a problem anymore. And that's another thing. Absolutely. I remember my first ever sleepover in my best friend's house, and now luckily he lived across the road, but I think I was probably about 3 or 4 years of age, and I got upset and I got carried home, and then he came to stay over in my house and he got upset and he got carried home. That might happen. That's okay. It's all right. And just because it happens once doesn't mean we go, well, that's it, we're never trying it again. Because like I always say, you don't help your kids to walk by picking them up, and when they fall down once, go, oh Jesus, that's far too dangerous, we're never doing that again. You pick them up again and let them try and take their few steps further. Thanks for all that interaction, guys. It helps a lot with the episode. Okay, a little sip of coffee. Okay, my 14-year-old son has been expelled from school for hitting a teacher. He says the teacher always provokes him and tries to get a reaction, but he shouldn't have hit the teacher. My problem is that none of the schools around us have a space open. We've been told we can get home tuition in the meantime, but I'm really worried he can get used to not being at school and what might happen then. Already he's staying up much later than usual, excuse me, and lying in bed in the morning. What can I do to get this all sorted as soon as possible? So, as a lot of you will probably know, I do a lot of work with teenagers, and in my experience, the teenagers who get expelled from school at that kind of age, 13, 14, 15, are in that little difficult bubble because they are too young to get a full-time job or to get part-time work. In Ireland, certainly, they have to be in school until they're 16 or have education until they're 16. But there are less and less school places available, certainly in the Drogheda area. And also, there will be some schools who will see, okay, this kid got expelled for hitting a teacher. We're not taking him in. He's too much of a risk. We're not going to put our teachers in danger. So I suppose you've obviously gone through the process of expulsion. So you'll have put across your side of the story, his side of the story, that teacher provoked him, and it still didn't work out. Your child still got expelled. So you can appeal it, and you can go with the educational welfare officers in Ireland, and you can contact them. You'll be dealing with them anyway because they'll be part of this process. But you can put in an appeal, right? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But the appeal may not work. So you do have to find something. So I would definitely take the home tuition to try and give him some sort of structure. Now, again, in my experience, the home tuition can be up and down, the success rate, because it's not a lot of time. What I would do is I would certainly look at, do you have any friends, relations, anyone that could give him some work, that could give him some purpose? Because in my experience, the kids who do slip at this point, who do slip maybe into staying up all night, who do slip into maybe taking drugs, getting into antisocial behaviour because they're bored. And again, in my experience, a lot of the time these kids will slip out of any routine. So they all of a sudden they lose track of time. So they start to miss their football training or going to matches, and then they just start to get some sort of apathy towards it and just kind of going, I'm giving up. I'm not interested in playing anymore. I keep missing, and the coach is giving me hassle for missing training and not putting me in the team, so I'm not playing. And all of a sudden there's a slip because they don't have that routine. So the routine of school is really important. What I'm saying is, if you can find somebody who will give them some work, doesn't have to be paid. Like, you can pay the person if you want to give your kids some money, but it's about giving them that structure and purpose so that they don't feel that they are a waste of space, that they don't feel that what's the point in doing anything because, I got expelled, so that's it, my future is ruined. Because I'm sure he could be worried about it. He may not be saying it out loud. He may be going, I don't care, this is great, I can just stay in bed all day and stay up all night. But in his own head, he may be going, oh my God, what am I actually going to do? Now, there are a lot of teenagers out there that actually just live in the moment. It's like, this is great, I don't care, happy days, I'll get a job someday, or maybe I won't, I'll just get the dole when I'm 18. But that may not be the case, and your part as a parent is to try and provide that structure. So definitely take the home tuition if you can get it. See how it goes. I wouldn't put all your eggs in that basket hoping that this will fix everything, because it probably won't, because I think the max in Ireland you can get is 8 or 9 hours a week anyway, so it's not a huge amount of time. Look at, can you get him some work so that it's not you having to get him to work, or it's not you having to give him work the whole time at home, because when it's at home he'll be like, yeah, I'll clean, I've all day to clean the house, I've all day to do the hoovering, I've all day to do the washing. Whereas if he's getting up in the morning, going out and actually contributing to somebody else and having responsibility to somebody else, that's going to be really, really important. Then I'd start to look at having meetings with the educational welfare officers and look at, well, let's get this moving. He needs to be in school, so we all need to look to see and try and find a space for him, because you don't want him out of school for 6 months or a year or whatever it might be. And you may need to do some groundwork where you're going to meet with school principals and saying, look, he really regrets what he's done. He shouldn't have done it. He just really wants to get back into education, and talk about the structure and why it's important. And that way you're starting to show that we are open to working with the schools. We are open to trying to find a solution that's going to help our child to start to get that structure back into his life, and see how it goes. If you need other supports, look for your friends, look for your family, get them to come and take him out, spend time with him. Now, he might fight against it. He might say, I'm not going. But that's where you need to, nearly get a bucket of water and pour it over his head in the morning, if need be, right, to get him out of the bed. Because it's important that it's not made easy for him to be at home, where he can't just sit around and play his console all day, or spend time on his phone all day, or whatever it might be. He needs to get up and do something, because he needs to take responsibility for what he did. It's not okay to hit a teacher. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised you haven't said in it that he's been cautioned for it by the Gardaí, because it's not okay to assault somebody under any provocation. If you or I did it, we'd be arrested. That's just life. And he needs to learn this lesson. So try and get those structures in place as best as possible. If you do need more, come back to me, and I'll kind of deal with you on a kind of a one-to-one basis. We'll have a conversation about it and see what other ways we can look at getting supports in place. But there are people there. The educational welfare system, the community Gardaí are all fantastic at helping to get kids back on track. And I know in Drogheda we've managed to get a few projects that will work with kids who are out of school and under the legal age to leave school. So there are projects out there that do support those children. So give me a shout and I'll help you get in touch with them and see what you can do to move forward. Okay. Last one for today. And this is our kids' question. I'm 10 years old and I have 2 little brothers. Why do I have to do everything around the house and they just get to play all the time? It's not fair. I know exactly how you feel. I have a little brother. When we were kids, I had to do everything too. And he did nothing. And he got spoiled. And I had to do everything the first time. And I had to be responsible. And I'm sure you have to be responsible too. You have to be the one that's the grown up. And it's a pain in the ass. Okay? But it comes with the territory. And what it will do is it'll make you stronger. It'll make you better. And it'll make you more resilient. And I'm sure that's what every 10-year-old out there wants to hear. But look, there is something you can do. You can sit down with your parents and say, okay guys, we need to have a family meeting. We need to sort this out. I'm doing a lot of work, and while I know I'm the oldest and I'm able to do other things that they can't do, it's time they picked up the slack as well. So maybe they could get some little jobs so that we can all feel that we're actually working to contribute to the house. And see what your parents say. They might look at you funny. They might go, okay, what's he after? But it's a fair point, and it's getting you into the style of negotiation as you move forward, because it's not about going, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, they're doing this wrong, they're doing that wrong. For me, it's, okay, this all needs to change because something's not working here. I'm 10, I'm doing all the work in the house. Those little 2 are not pulling their weight. Let's get things moving and see what they say. And hopefully they won't kick you out of the house and go find a new home. Although you'll have less work to do. Maybe go live with your auntie. See what happens there. Alright guys, that's us for today. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thanks for all the feedback. Thanks for all the interactions. It's been lovely to be able to read out some comments as we're going along. Don't forget the Patreon page, just in case I haven't mentioned it 15 times. The patreon.com/the Al O'Donoghue podcast. Thank you to those who've contributed so far and contribute on a monthly basis. Anything helps to keep this ball rolling. Stay tuned for the Motivation Interview series coming back. Can't wait. It's going to be great. And I will speak to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.